Well, hey everybody, Backyard Scrapping here, and welcome to the next part of our refine. I got our, as you saw in the last part, we got our silver, got all the crap out of it. Obviously there was some nickel in it when we first hit it with the hydrochloric acid. This is my dish that I use in the oven to dry it, and right now what I'm doing is I have it up on a angle here, and I'm just taking a pipette and I'm going to draw off as much liquid as I can. This is from the big ones, our first, the first batch. When I get this batch dried, I will do exactly the same thing with the powder from the little ones, and then we will actually get out here, and he wants it returned in shot, so we'll weigh it up like it is. I will take my cut in powder. There will probably be a slight loss melting it. There always is with silver, even in a furnace. The more times you melt silver, the more silver you lose. I don't know why, if it vaporizes or gets stuck somewhere, or stuck in the dish or in the flux or whatever, but it's a fact. So anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and finish this up, get it dried. We'll do our percentages for each one of these, see what they actually came out at, and then we will do his shot and we'll be done. Okay guys, well, we've got our first batch in the oven to dry. This was our large ones. You saw me, I was just sucking the last bit of the water out of those before you put them in there. Unless you turn your oven down really super low, you want to draw as much of this water out before you put it in the oven as you can, so you don't get any spattering. The silver is known to do that because of the way it holds heat. So it can get little pockets in it, and they can actually just pop, and it'll spatter your silver. I have had that happen, so I'm not just saying it because I've thought, it's actually happened to me. Over here, I just wanted to show you, this one has been boiled in acid and rinsed and cleaned, and now look at how clean that is, how that looks. Look at how nice, and it's even going to get brighter and whiter than this when it's dry. So I know I've said it before in other silver videos that I've done, just because you did this, dissolved it in nitric acid and you dropped it with copper, with anything, I don't care what you drop it with, you're not going to, you have to clean it. You still have to clean it. I see a lot of times out there people not doing that and pouring and saying they have pure silver or melting. You don't have pure silver. Even this, I would still, I would say that this is probably, at this point, even right now, after doing with the hydrochloric, it's probably 999 or so close to it, whatever. I still only say 99.9, just to be on the safe side. But this is more than likely pure silver. As far as you want to go to pure. And 99.9, 9.99, that's all considered, they don't care, that's all considered pure silver. The 0.999 and the 49's fine, that's so they can put it on a coin or something like that, and they can charge you a little more money, and you think you're getting something better. You're actually not. You're not going to get any more money for that extra 9, or the extra 2 9s or whatever, than you are for 99.9. This is how I know. Look at, in a day, that was what the nickel, or nickel and whatever, that's the hydrochloric acid. I just left it sitting up here. I left it sitting up here because I'm going to give it to my buddy, but I had no idea it was going to do this. Now you can see the acid line. It's right here. This stuff is actually settling out. So there's no way possible that I could have melted that silver as it was and it would have been pure silver. There's the proof. That came out in the acid. So, and maybe those little flecks, maybe they were partially, no, that was actually the other one, but I was going to say those could have been nickel, but it was the big ones that had the nickel. So, there it is right there. That's living proof that you know, that silver was not pure. It did not do that until I added the acid to it to clean it. So now you see the difference. Remember, it was brown or grayish and mucky looking and small and loose, and look at it now. So before you're going to put your mark on something or stamp something, you know, we've got it pretty much made over here. It's kind of a, you know, a judgment call for us in the States as far as marking our silver. Although you can get in trouble for it still. But like in England, John RMS, I mean, he pours silver. It has to go and be checked. Doesn't matter if he poured it out of 4.9 silver or not. It's irrelevant. Before he can mark that, you know, because it's been repoured or altered, it has to be checked out. See, and here they don't have that here. So you got to be careful, first of all, when you're doing that. Second of all, when you go to sell your silver, if you're selling it in powder form or whatever, and you haven't cleaned it up and you're expecting to get X amount of dollars for it, and that refinery gets it, and they check it, and they see that it's, you know, 98% or whatever, you know, you might be expecting, you know, $100 and you're going to get $98. Well, how come? I know it's not that much, but it's the same procedure with gold. If you're not sure that that stuff is clean, and I mean clean, and there's the proof, then you're not going to get paid what you're going to be expecting to get paid. So anyhow, like I said, the other one's in the oven. When that one dries, we're going to do the same thing. Then we're going to weigh it up. I'm going to take my cut, and we're going to melt the rest in the shot for him. So we will see you then. Well, good morning, everybody. We got a nice, bright, sunshiny day again, but it is cold. Here is our first batch of silver out of the drying oven. So I'm going to go ahead and get it in a beaker and get our second batch drying. I've topped this off, let it go. It went down to about here before I had to shut it off last night. So I've topped it off. We're going to let it go all day. And if you remember our jar of cleaning acid, it was last time we looked at it, it was blue, very, very blue to right here. Now this morning, coming out here, it is turned a off very light yellow color, and we actually have, I don't know if you can see this very well, but we have a little sediment at the bottom. So I still think it's nickel. I'm not positive, but I mean, the color seemed right from, you know, other times that I've seen nickel, but it definitely settled out to this whatever it is down here in the bottom. I don't care to fool with nickel, so I'm not going to mess with it. But anyway, the color has completely gone away, and it settled out into that little dusting of white looking powder. So anyway, let me get this in a beaker, and then we're going to go ahead and get this in to dry. This was from our big contacts, so this is from our little ones. So I'm going to get that in, changed out, get it in the oven, and then we'll get back at you when we get this part inside and weigh it up and see what we got. Okay, there is batch 2. We've got it in our dish ready to go into our drying oven. So I'm going to go ahead and get that put in there and go weigh up this first batch. And we should be able to wrap this thing up today. So we'll be back at you when we get inside. Okay guys, we are inside at my desk or bench or little inside work area or whatever you want to call it, the inside lab. Anyway, we've got our silver here from our first batch. We started with 294.15 grams. We're going to see what we got right now. I don't even know yet, but I do want to, every once in a while I like to just check my scale and make sure that's 5 grams, 10 grams, and this one should be 20 grams. 20 grams. So I just like to check it out every once in a while just to be sure that, you know, it's on point, because this is the one I really use to be more technical with. Our little beaker says it weighs 101.81 grams, so we're just going to put the whole thing on there. We're showing 245.63, so 245.63. Alrighty, we'll take away the 101. We had 146.67 possible. I don't think we got close to that, but you know, there was a lot of crap in that stuff. So let's see, maybe we did. Let's see, minus 245.63, 245.63 minus 101.81 minus 140. Well, we didn't do bad. 143.82. 143.82. So out there, and like I said, for what we did out there, that was close enough, that scale out there. But according to that scale out there, we had 146.67 grams possible. We ended up with 143.82. So 146.67 minus 143.82 equals, so there's only 2.85 grams. 2.85 grams into solution. And like I said, this was not done with the accurate scale. So that's actually pretty good. It's more than I thought we were going to have. So our total is 143.82. Let's see what we got. We started with 294.15 equals, so not bad. We ended up with a total of 48%, actually almost 49, 48.8% yield off of those. So not too bad. So we have 143.82, 143.82 divided by 4 equals, so 35.95 grams of that, actually 35.955, so 36 grams approximately of that belongs to me. So let's turn this on. This one's supposed to be 51.81, 51.31. Well, 51.30, 51.30, so that's close enough. We'll tar that. Tar, however you say it. I say tear, sometimes I say tar. And we are going to, I gotta keep my hands off the desk when I do that because it does make a difference. And we are going to remove what did I say? 35.95. So I'm going to go ahead and scoop this out. Just a smidget more. $35.95 is me. So there is my cut from the large batch, and Here is his cut from the large batch. And that is silver. So there's the two portions. And as soon as we get the other one dried, we will get it in here, get it weighed, split up, and then we will work on his shot. So we will be back in just a bit when that other material dries up. Hey guys, earlier in the video, before we get to weighing and totaling up or tallying up our silver, earlier in the video I was talking about how we're able to mark our silver versus how in England they have to send it to be assayed and whatever. Now this is what I was talking about. This is powder that has been dropped. Now even though I've cleaned it, it probably is pure. When I pour something or I make something out of a silver powder like this, I will only mark it 99.9. It may very well be. I mean, I've dropped a little bit in nitric acid to test it, you know, and got no color, which tells me it's pure silver. But I still, because I'm not going to pay to send it off to get it assayed and add to the cost of this and all that. I wish I had an XRF gun, then I wouldn't have to worry about that stuff. So if anybody's got one laying around that they don't want, feel free to send it to me. But anyway, if it's done, even if I do a silver chloride drop, same scenario. I don't care how I drop the silver. If I use that silver, as long as I have cleaned it, like I showed you, in the video about, boiling it in hydrochloric acid, making sure we have all the crap out of it, I will mark that silver 99.9. The only time I mark it, like an example, this silver, and these two bad boys, they are marked 0.999. Alright, now this is all recovered silver. This isn't melted, mint silver from, wherever, Provident or whatever. This is my recovered silver that I use to pour other items. And they are 999. These little guys aren't marked because I know what they are, so it doesn't really matter. But the only time I mark my silver, my recovered silver, 0.999, which is actually probably better. It might even be better depending on how soon you take it out of your silver cell, is if I run it through a silver cell and produce pure silver crystal like this. So that's the difference. This has just been refined and dropped in a normal fashion. Then I would melt this into shot and run it through a silver cell and regrow this. This material I mark 999, and it is probably actually even better than that. But it still doesn't make any difference. If I'm going to send this off to a refinery right now, or send it off to a whatever, unless I sell it independently. But if I'm going to send this to a refining company, or somebody that buys this, I am actually going to get paid no more for this jar of silver than I'm going to get paid for this one. They are not going to give me any more money. Once that reaches that 9.99%, or what's considered pure silver, they're not going to pay me any more for fineness of nines. They don't care. Okay, they only care about fineness of nines when they're selling it. When they're buying it, that's it. They're going to pay you, and they're actually going to pay you below spot price. They're going to pay you what's called a bid price. But anyway, so that's the difference. This type of silver, I mark 99.9. This, if I've done it, put it through a silver cell, then I'll mark it 0.999. So this silver has all been run through a silver cell. These are just, part of my stack, couple 10 ounces, part of my own private stack that I keep. And then this is other silver that I use to make items with, if I'm not melting, purchased silver. So, this is all 0.9995. So I just wanted to clarify that a little bit, let you guys know, you know, that really, you really don't, you shouldn't, you know, state, you can state pure silver, and if you want to mark it 999, that's totally up to you. I don't, just for the simple fact that I have not had it assayed, and I don't know for sure. You know, this, you don't even, you don't have to have it assayed. That's pure silver. You know, when you run it through that silver cell, as long as you don't let your electrolyte turn blue, you know, even that probably is still all right in a silver cell. You know, you don't want it to go that dark, you know, like a dark blue like this lid, because then you're going to start getting copper contamination. But I don't even let mine go as far as that little jar I showed you. In fact, when mine starts tinning, because it's no big deal, you're using the same electrolyte over and over anyway. So when mine just starts to tint or starts to change from being clear, I actually change it out. So anyhow, let's get outside, or not get outside, we got to still weigh this stuff up. So let me get set up to weigh up and tally out our silver, and then we're going to go outside and melt some shot. Okay, everybody, we have got our second batch of silver dried. We started with an original of 113.39 grams. The leftover tungsten was 43.58 grams, which left 69.81. Then we had the dust and the filters, which was 5.77, which left us 64.04 grams of silver possible. So let's see what we ended up with on this batch. Let me keep my hands off the table. And that weighs in at 162.86, I believe it was. 162.84. Let's tear it once. Do it again. 162.85. So we have 162.85. Alright, let's get this out of the way. Well, we're going to need that still. So, our beaker weighs, we had 64.4 possible. Now this was the little contacts. So 162.85 minus 101.46 equals 61. We ended up with 61.04 grams, which we had 64 possible. These were the smaller ones. So and that was I think these had more blue. I don't remember exactly which, but anyway, so we're right in line. We're a lot closer than I thought we were going to be. So we have 61.04. I actually thought both of these were going to yield less than they did, but they did pretty well. And you can see we have a nice clean dust, powder, or whatever you want to call it, nice and bright and white. Let's see, so we had started with 113.39, and that equals, they actually yielded better than the big ones. We got 53.8%. Excuse me. So we ended up with a 53.8% yield off of those little tungstens. So that's pretty darn good for both of them. They're both over 50%. I think these came in at no, these came in at 48.8, so almost 50%, which is, like I said, still good. That's really good for a tungsten contact. So I'm very pleased with that. So now let's see right quick which part of this is mine. We have 61.04 divided by 4 equals 15.26 grams of this will be mine. So we'll put that little beaker up here, turn that on, and we will get 15.26 grams of material out of here for me. Whoops, a little bit too much. There it is, 15.26. So out of batch 2, there is Jerry's silver and there is my silver. In batch 1, there is Jerry's silver and there is my silver. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to get outside and we are going to go ahead and do our shot, and then we can package this up and get this shipped back to him. So we will be back at you when we get outside. Okay guys, we're up to about almost 1,000 C. So I think our silver is good to pour. So we're going to go ahead and pour our shot. And we got a little bit stuck. So we'll have to heat that up again and finish pouring that out. And then we'll get inside and take a look at it. Okay guys, we got everything done. I'm going to just real quick go over. Now, when I was waiting for the torch, or not the torch, but waiting for the kiln to heat up to melt his silver, I just went ahead and melted mine in a dish. I started out with 51.22 grams, and I ended up losing almost 1%, 0.98%. This now weighs 50.28, and it's got a little bit of borax on it still, so I'm going to actually just go ahead and drop it in here and let it clean up. So that's doing it with the torch. You always lose a little bit more when you do your melt with a torch. And now this little button here is actually all of his. When you pour the shot, and it's really not shot, it's more of a splash, or like a grain. We probably should call it casting grain, because it's not really round like shot. I mean, it comes out, you know, all like splash castings. But you also, when it hits, it pops a little bit sometimes, and you get all these little teeny tiny fine beads. So what I did was I dried this out and I gathered those up and melded them into a button like that, so that he wouldn't have to deal with stuff that's like grains of sand, or, you know, sugar grains or salt grains. So that's actually his button in there. So let's put this on here, tear this out, and he started with 153.65 in powder, and this is what we got. 152.37, so he actually lost a hair more in the furnace. 130, 152, let me see, even it out. Alright, 152.39, so let's go 152.39. And in the initial melt, you're going to lose it. I mean, from the powder, the transfer from the powder to the solid metal, you do lose some. 153.65 minus 152.39 equals, so he lost in the initial melt 1.26 grams. And that's going to be probably about the same percentage I lost. 152.39. 3.65 equals 90. Yeah, I lost a hair more. I lost 1/100th of a % more than the furnace lost. So that's about right. 1% in your initial, in your initial melt. So there it is, guys. There's his grain. So he ended up with 152.39 divided by 31.104. Whoa. 152.39 divided by 31.104 equals almost 5 ounces. Ended up with 4.899 troy ounces. So not too bad for contacts, tungsten contacts. That's pretty good. In fact, it's real good. Boy, isn't that pretty? That silver. Take that little booger out because he's a little rough on the outside, so he ain't all shiny. But there it is, guys. This refine is done. Jerry, I will get this stuff packaged out and shipped out to you. And guys, y'all take care, stay safe, and we will see you in the next video.